Oprah Winfrey has been spotted in a video from 1998 inviting Hollywood stars to one of Diddy's infamous parties. Now, she appears in the video clip inviting guests to the star-studded bash, Diddy's 29th birthday, and she is joined by other well-known celebrities gushing over the star and his multi-million parties. Now, this is not a good look for Oprah. Now, Oprah has had many controversies throughout her life, but being involved with Diddy might be the final nail in the coffin when it comes to her career. She and Diddy have appeared together at numerous charity events, and Oprah has featured Diddy on her show, where they discuss not only his career but also his charitable efforts. Now, this appearance helped elevate Diddy's message about social responsibility and community engagement, which is kinda ironic if you think back to it now. Now, this isn't the first time Oprah has been linked to some horrible men in the entertainment industry that have ended up behind bars. I mean, it's starting to become a pattern. When she was asked about this, she said she tried to focus less on the crimes and the victims' stories and instead inside the bigger picture, which a lot of people had issues with. Her former friend Seal took to Instagram to call her out for her suspicious behavior. "You have been a part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you're the solution," Seal said. "Oh, I forgot, that's right, you heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually doing those things to young starry-eyed actresses. My bad," he said. Yikes. Now, it seems like Oprah definitely knew what was going on. What's strange is that Oprah has actually been a victim to the crimes Diddy has been accused of. You see, Oprah was born in Mississippi to a single teenage mother and grew up in extreme poverty. During her childhood, the cost of raising Oprah became too much for her mother to handle, so she was sent to live with her biological father. Since then, Oprah has come forward talking about how she had been mistreated and taken advantage of by her cousin, uncle, and a family friend. As a young teenager, and after suffering for years, she then ran away from home, and a year later she became pregnant. Now, she gave birth to a son, but he was premature and passed away only a few weeks later. Now, Oprah has used this story to show her strength and to inspire people, but it seems like she might have helped continue this cycle towards young girls. I mean, we have to talk about the whole sketchy situation about her all-girls school that she created. When the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls opened in Johannesburg in 2007, Nelson Mandela, Tina Turner, Sidney Poitier, Spike Lee, and Oprah herself attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony celebrating the landmark boarding school founded with $40 million of Oprah's money. But less than a year later, 6 of the 152 students who had been personally selected by Oprah to attend the institution came forward to accuse dorm matron Virginia Tiny McGobo of mistreating them. She was then arrested in November 2007 and released on bail, and she faced 14 different charges. "It has shaken me to my core," Oprah said, of the returning to South Africa with a team of private detectives to investigate the allegations and personally speak with the girls. "This has been one of the most devastating, if not the most devastating, experiences of my life." Now, it seems like she and the organization did not look into who they were hiring and how the operation was running. I mean, this whole thing could have been avoided. Now, following the first trial, Oprah was sued by the headmistress of the South African girls' school for defamation. She alleged that Oprah defamed her by implying that she covered up the mistreatment going on at the school. However, this case was later settled outside of court before an arranged trial, according to CNN. Now, that's not all that happened here though, as speculation of numerous missing girls from the academy have spread like wildfire across social media. Now, could Oprah have been taking the girls? That's definitely a possibility. Not to mention, parents also came forward with complaints about the school. In March 2007, some parents complained because they were only allowed to visit their children once a month, and the girls were only allowed to use their cell phones on weekends. One parent said, "It was a nightmare. We had only 2 hours to see my child. Surely this isn't a prison or an institution." Another mother said her homesick daughter was very upset over the rules. "Michelle phones me in tears sometimes, and then I don't know what to say to her." Shockingly, the school is still up and running, which is crazy considering all the scandals that have happened there. Then there's her canceled documentary. Oprah apparently spent a fortune to make sure the docuseries created about her never sees the light of day after clashing with Oscar-winning filmmaker and director Kevin McDonald over the project. As the Apple TV Plus deal was coming to an end, Miss Winfrey bought back the rights to her docuseries and has since decided to put the doc on hold, a spokesperson for Oprah told Page 6. In addition, another source said Kevin Kevin made the film, but Oprah didn't like it and he refused to change it, and Oprah has paid back her fee to Apple. Internet users reacted to the news that the documentary was putting on hold, and they were not impressed. Many questioned if Oprah was worried that some damaging information was set to become public. Well, now isn't this sketchy? One person wrote in page 6's comment section. Another individual asked, what is she afraid of or hiding? Similar takes showed up on Twitter, as one person wrote, what is Oprah hiding? While another tweeted, Oprah Winfrey shelled out a fortune to prevent a documentary release. Sounds legit, money talks, right? Not the truth. Yeah, I gotta say that this is pretty sketchy sounding. Then we know she's mistreated people in the past, whether it be celebrities, guests on her shows, or even her own stepmother. Yep, it was reported that she was accused of being heartless to her own stepmother after she was kicked out of the 5-bedroom South Nashville home she shared with Oprah's father for 14 years. Barbara Winfrey told Daily Mail that her life had been deliberately ruined by the talk show legend following a bitter divorce with Vernon Winfrey. Oprah's a billionaire 3 times over, her help to live better than this, Barbara pointed out, adding, she said publicly that she offered to sell the house and give me the proceeds, but that's a lie. She never said that. Oprah owns property all over the world, so there's no reason to sell this house other than to spite me. It's a personal vendetta, she said. Now, legal papers claim that Oprah was involved in a conspiracy to separate her father and stepmother and essentially make the latter homeless. What she has done is nothing short of evil, but she doesn't scare me. Her actions cause me to disrespect her, Barbara said. Now, it seems like Oprah is always at the scene of the crime, and online users have been convinced about her downfall for years. One online user posted this on Reddit, and I honestly have to agree with it. They said, Oprah Winfrey is not a hero, nor should she be considered a role model. Successful? Sure. A good role model? Not really. She's nice, and she's certainly not an awful person, but she also consistently promotes individuals on her show who peddle pseudoscientific nonsense to a massive crowd of guests and television viewers. Dr. Oz being one of the most famous examples. The willingness to promote this type of content either means that the Oprah Winfrey Network is unwilling to do background research into these guests and their claims, or that they will promote whatever gets them the highest view count, making it rather low value and possibly harmful to pretty much anyone who watches the show. Why would anyone look up to someone who endorses science? Anyone who does even basic research into some of the so-called professionals that come on the show would realize they're spewing absolute nonsense. I don't know if this is unpopular or not, but I feel like a lot of people look up to her and think of her as both a pioneer and a good person. I don't see it. Lazy, unhinged, and disconnected from reality, or lazy and opportunistic. That's how I see her and her show. Now, other people responded to this post in agreement, saying, I noticed this about Oprah 20 years ago. Once you see her, you can't unsee her. She seems shallow, egotistical, self-absorbed, and all the rest of it. Another said, it wasn't until I was older and seen exactly what her show was about in the 80s and early 90s, and seen she capitalized off making a mockery of her trauma. No longer a role model, just another rich person who snubs their noses at anyone who's gone through life as she has. Makes me sick, actually. While a third person said that she was just straight up evil. So, does Oprah have anything to do with Diddy's crime ring? I honestly wouldn't put it past her. I guess we'll just have to wait for more details to come out to see if she was involved. Diddy will be in jail for a very long time for the crimes he committed at his infamous parties. But now, with photos and videos being leaked of the big bashes, some celebrities are scared as they could be implicated with his crimes. Now, since Diddy's arrest, various photos and videos have been leaked and have resurfaced, and celebs are panicking over it. Now, starting off, there's Ashton Kutcher. Now, past footage of him at one of Diddy's white parties, having a good time on a swing, has been going around. Also, photos of him and his then-wife Demi Moore have resurfaced. With this, people have looked more into Ashton and Diddy's past friendship, and it's honestly concerning. Ashton was actually really close with Diddy, and he once said, if you're a single man, there's probably no greater human being in the world to hang out with. This is 20 years ago, 19 years ago. We were having a lot of fun together. Then, concerning footage of Ashton not being able to name an appropriate favorite Diddy party memory surfaced. While appearing on Hot Ones, host Sean Evans asked Ashton for his favorite memory at a Diddy party, but Ashton said, I've got a lot I can't tell. He laughed and said, I can't tell that one either. So if he can't tell those stories, How bad were they? But it's said that Ashton himself is worried about what could happen with this whole Diddy situation. An insider source revealed that Ashton absolutely regrets his friendship with Diddy, considering what has happened. He feels lied to, betrayed, taken for granted, and manipulated. Everyone who is close to Diddy fears the possibility of Diddy making up false allegations to clear his own name. Although Kutcher is frightened by the prospect of being involved in the case, he is also prepared to completely cooperate with authorities because he has nothing to hide. Now, in the past, Diddy once named Leo as the #1 person on his white party invitation list, which raises some eyebrows. I mean, you don't just say that. Now, people have been looking at Leo strange, but a source close to Leo says that he's not been in contact with Diddy for years, saying he never attended freak-offs and has nothing to do with the case. Now, the pair were last seen together in 2019 when Leo attended Diddy's 50th birthday party. But a source went on to say, Leonardo DiCaprio has absolutely nothing to do with any of this. He attended a few of his parties back in the early 2000s, but literally everyone did. They were not freak-offs, they were big house parties. Leo was at the start of his career at the time and has moved way past his partying. He has nothing to do with any of that world, so for anyone to assume that he will get roped into this based on a few grainy photos that are more than 20 years old is ridiculous. Then, of course, there's the Kardashians. Kim and Khloe Kardashian have been spotted at multiple Diddy parties, and in recent years, the whole Kar-Jenner family have been spotted with Diddy. They posted about it on social media, talked about him on their reality shows, and Khloe even had Diddy on as a guest on her show Cocktails with Khloe. Now, they have a real deep friendship, but fans noticed that Kim unfollowed Diddy since the raid on his houses. Khloe, though, still has an Instagram photo up of her, Diddy, and her sisters together, and captioned the post, "No party like a Diddy party." Yeah. Then there's the fact that Kris Jenner is dating Corey Gamble, who was good friends with Diddy. An insider said that Corey was aware of Diddy's controversial engagements, and a lot of people believe that Corey must have had some knowledge of what was going on. Now, an insider also noted, though, that he totally denies these allegations. However, it's been said that Kris has already started to plan her family's rescue in case things get dirty for her daughters. It's all very ugly and very embarrassing, and Kris is scrambling to distance them all from this and distract everyone, but that's going to be impossible if they get called to testify. Now, another source said all these years that they bragged about partying with Diddy have of course got everyone assuming that they were somehow involved in these deprived freak-offs. They then asserted that the family had no idea of the sorts of twisted things he was up to after hours. Now, talking to In Touch magazine, the insider continued, Diddy had plenty of glamorous parties over the years that weren't freak-offs, at least not until the early morning hours when the majority of people had left. Now, the insider suggests that Kris is presently scrambling to distance them from all of this, and I can't blame her. Then there's the VHS tape that was recently leaked. Now, a source sent page 6 of VHS tape that was sent out as an invitation to Diddy's 29th birthday in 1998. It begins with a strange home video style skit in which Danny DeVito, lying on a sofa under a blanket, says, "That's right, Puff Daddy is having a party, and this is Puff Daddy inviting you to come. Let's have a ball." Then a group of celebs take turns reading from a script detailing the date and time, exactly how fabulous and expensive the party will be, and then reading an address to RSVP to. They then said that the venue would be revealed later. Now, this group of celebrities includes Oprah, Ellen DeGeneres, Chris Rock, Mariah Carey, Will Smith, and Joan Rivers, to name a few. It's also been said that the whole video is 6 minutes long, but just over a minute of it was posted. Now, what happens in the other 5 minutes of it? No one really knows. People who have seen this, though, claim that the celebs involved in the tape should be looked at as potential accomplices in Diddy's case, as they appear to be good friends with him and have close ties. And hey, I gotta say, I agree with this. I mean, everyone should be looked into, as the crimes Diddy is being accused of are absolutely disgusting, and he clearly was not alone committing them. Now, Ray J, who is friends with Diddy, has spoken out about how some celebrities are paying off their victims when it comes to the freak-offs. Ray J said, "I'm hearing about artists paying victims to keep their names out of it." Now, Tony Busby, the attorney representing more than 120 alleged victims, disclosed that he has sent out demand letters to the celebrities, asking them to pay up or face the consequences. Now, Tony had previously mentioned that investigations into Diddy's case had implicated several Hollywood big shots. He has disclosed that he's now going after other celebrities, though, who attended Diddy's freak-offs, even if they did nothing wrong. In a new appearance on TMZ's documentary, The Downfall of Diddy: Inside the Freak-Offs, Tony claims such big names are as guilty as those who perpetrated the crimes, explaining that their silence and unwillingness to stand against it makes them liable. Now, I wonder if any of the celebrities we mentioned before were sent these letters. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And I mean, in a September 17th letter to a judge arguing for Diddy to be jailed until he is brought to trial, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams claimed that his office has the testimony of dozens of witnesses and victims to his serial mistreatment and evidence from dozens of his own electronic devices and those of his co-conspirators. Investigators have taken in more than 90 cell phones, laptops, cloud storage accounts, as well as at least 30 storage devices. They issued more than 300 grand jury subpoenas to obtain this evidence from communication providers, tech and social media companies, financial institutions, and Diddy's companies. Prosecutors allegedly have dozens of videos depicting Diddy's so-called freak-offs that corroborate witness testimony. So who knows really how many people were involved in all of this.
New photos from the night of one of Diddy's major lawsuits shine a whole new light on his relationship with then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez. We'll get into all this and more in leaked Diddy party photo of Jennifer Lopez will change everything. Diddy, as you likely know by now, has been accused of some pretty heinous things by multiple people, including some past partners. Many lawsuits have been filed against the disgraced rapper. The lawsuit alleged that Diddy and an unnamed additional male celebrity harmed her inappropriately, while another, also unnamed, female celebrity watched. The plaintiff's story in the lawsuit was she attempted to sneak into Radio City Music Hall in 2000 for MTV's VMAs, but when she was unsuccessful, she ran into Diddy's driver. The driver told her to come back after the show, and when she did, he drove her to a large white house with a gated U-shaped driveway. The plaintiff further claims that upon entering the house, she was presented with a non-disclosure agreement and asked to sign. Once inside, she claims there was widespread use of substances, and when handed a beverage, they were in there too. In a bid to find somewhere safe to rest, the plaintiff claims that she entered an empty bedroom, and it wasn't long after she entered that the trio of celebrities allegedly followed. It was then that the multiple transgression happened, ultimately halting when the plaintiff struck Diddy in the neck. She was able to eventually escape the house and return home, but of course, the night left its mark. As reported by the Daily Mail, the lawsuit claims that the plaintiff fell into a deep depression which continues to affect every facet of her life. Diddy continues to assert his innocence. Back in October of this year, the Daily Mail obtained exclusive images of allegedly the very same after-party that this incident happened at, and the photos feature what appears to be a very angry J-Lo yelling at then-boyfriend and presently accused Sean Diddy Combs. The couple appears to be towards the wall of the room that is clearly still buzzing with party energy. Diddy appears to be dressed in what he wore to Radio City Music Hall that evening, a white shirt, baseball cap, and the new addition being what appears to be a bottle in his hand. In J-Lo's case, she had changed from her event outfit of the all-white ensemble with the bedazzled bandana to a colorful diamond and striped mini dress. As the party guests dance around the couple, the vibes could not be more different. Even directly beside J-Lo is who the Daily Mail has pointed out as her sister, Linda Lopez. She has a big smile on her face in some photos. It looks like she's continuing to dance the night away. In other photos, it's unclear if they became before or after the initial argument photo. J-Lo appears to be looking at Diddy in disdain or disappointment as he pours guests glasses from the bottle in his hand. In what the Daily Mail deems the next photo in the sequence, J-Lo is seen pushing away from the alleged confrontation and walking out of frame. As these are photos and not videos, there is no way of knowing exactly what was being said while the pictures were being taken unless one of the two stars steps forward. Though with the timing of the photos being obtained so close to the lawsuit being filed, it's made people look into the images a bit closer and wonder what the apparent argument could have been about. As of right now, JLo is not named in the lawsuit filed by the girl harmed at the allegedly same party. The lawsuit simply states Sean Diddy Combs and 2 unnamed celebrities were present. If it was this party, the house would be crawling with famous faces. This after-party event was co-hosted by Eminem and Dr. Dre. Some big-name guests that were included in the series of images the Daily Mail obtained from this night include music artist Jay-Z, magician David Blaine, model Carmen Cass, and rapper Ice-T, and more. To be clear, none of these people were named in the lawsuit either, they were simply present at the after-party. There have been instances in the past when Diddy has hosted star-studded bashes that turn into his bad parties after all the talent has left. The US Sun reported that Diddy's 2005 VMAs after-party went something like that. The event started as a party and was attended by big names like Eva Longoria and Paris Hilton, but the later half of the evening allegedly dissolved into one of Diddy's infamous freak-offs after the majority of the talent had left. The remaining party guests allegedly were moved from the nightclub to Diddy's mansion in the early morning, and this is where his inappropriate party happened. Footage from the later half of the party allegedly shows Diddy wearing the same outfit he had been wearing in the VMA after-party pics. It's unclear if the incident at the 2000 MTV VMAs after-party was a situation like that, or an isolated incident that happened during the party. Diddy is known for having an unsavory and violent past that is completely unrelated to the many lawsuits filed against him lately. Just under a year before the year 2000 after-party, in December of 1999, Diddy and JLo were arrested after an altercation in a Manhattan club. Reported at the time was that in the club, Diddy, JLo, Diddy's bodyguard, and another music artist named Shine got in a disagreement that resulted in a fight. Diddy and JLo were not harmed inside the bar and fled the scene taking a car. Forbes reported that the couple were being chased by police, and the New York Post reported that the car ran a red light before being pulled over by the police. It was during this stop that things started to go south for the famous couple. Inside the car, police found a stolen weapon, the discovery prompting the stars being taken into custody. Present at the station where the couple was taken was retired NYPD detective Derek Parker. After the event, he spoke to the New York Post, giving them an exclusive look into what it was like in the room that night. He said there were all these high-profile lawyers barricaded in the station house waiting to talk to the desk officer, and further went on to recall that JLo was first handcuffed to a pole inside the station and then later held for about 14 hours in detention. Of course, like I'm assuming anyone who just experienced a club uproar and arrest like she did, the retired detective said that JLo appeared distressed. JLo ended up getting released and cleared of all charges first after that 14 hours. She later shared in an interview that she was scared to death in the car at the time. Though JLo was cleared of any charges, Diddy wasn't, so a trial had to take place that lasted a few weeks. In addition to the incident at the club, prosecutors also alleged that Diddy and his bodyguard tried to bribe the driver of the getaway car $50,000 in exchange for him telling the police the weapon was his. One of the victims of the incident did testify as a witness at the trial. During her testimony, she claimed that she saw Diddy pulling out the weapon with his right hand, and then very soon after feeling immense pain in her face that later turned out to be caused by the There is a tie-in to this situation and the current Diddy situation. One of the recent lawsuits filed against Diddy came from producer Rodney Little Rod Jones Jr. He filed a civil lawsuit for non-consensual relations and harassment, and in a shocking turn of events, it also seems to possibly reference this 1999 incident as well. The suit claimed that on the day Homeland Security raided Diddy's home, he displayed his and bragged about getting away with using these weapons against people. It went further, saying that Diddy also confirmed to those present that he was responsible for the New York incident with the other rapper Shine. Not only that, but that JLo was the one who carried the firearm into the club for him and passed him the gun after he got into an altercation with another individual. Of course, you might notice that this would make JLo being in possession of the item and handing it to Diddy improbable if the original victim insisted she saw him pull it out. But it's not impossible, could have happened before the altercation began. In the end, Diddy was acquitted along with his bodyguard. Though it is over 2 decades after the incident, the victim, Natanya Rubin, is still fighting for justice. She joined Elizabeth Vargas Reports for an interview earlier in the year in which she shared that she still has 9 fragments of the projectile in her face. A follow-up interview revealed that Rubin was nervous even years later about sharing her story. She also said in the interview that she wouldn't mind if the case was reopened, even going so far as to say that as long as it didn't cause any health complications, she would be willing to have a doctor remove a part of the 9mm projectile in her face to be used as evidence in court. Another interesting moment in the J-Lo-Diddy relationship history is a rumor from the early 2000s that was addressed in a recent interview on Jimmy Kimmel Live. The rumor was that while Diddy was dating J-Lo in the late 90s, early 2000s, Will Smith and his wife had propositioned the Jenny from the Block singer with an invitation to join them in bed. Allegedly, Diddy wasn't too happy with that and threatened to attack Smith. Never one to shy away from anything, Kimmel straight up asked Diddy if this was true. Insert clip here. At first, the music artist made absolutely no movements, just kept his face in a very serious mask. Eventually, he did respond with, "You really heard that?" and laughed the whole thing off, claiming he didn't know what Kimmel was talking about. The talk show host played into the bit, making a remark about how one can't believe everything they hear on the internet. Sean Diddy Combs has had some pretty serious allegations raised against him in recent months, and now every name ever attached to his and every face ever photographed beside the man is considered a suspect in the public's eyes. Some celebrities are now attempting to clear their names before the rumors spiral out of control. At a recent performance in San Diego, Will Smith addressed the Diddy situation and basically said that he had nothing to do with it. He talked about how he was seeing all this stuff online and just really wanted to take the opportunity to clarify that while some of the memes he was seeing were funny, he really didn't have anything to do with Puffy. The PG cut of what Smith said is, "I ain't been nowhere near no darn freak off. Listen, I do enough of my own stuff. Don't be putting me in other people's business. I ain't been nowhere near that man, ain't did none of that stupid stuff, so whenever y'all hear it, if somebody says that, it's a darn lie. I don't even like baby oil." Now there are a couple things to unpack in that statement. The baby oil was probably such a weird addition if you haven't been keeping up with the Diddy situation, so let me be your guide. Let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. What are freak-offs? They are a type of party that Diddy would allegedly host. The freak-offs were often planned, but it seems occasionally spontaneous. From details I have been forced to gather over the months, freak-offs were allegedly primarily made of unwilling participants, often given inebriating substances to get them in the room. Some participants were also allegedly blackmailed to not just get them in the room, but to keep them quiet after. Some people claim to have been warned that if they said anything, something bad would happen to them or their loved ones. The participants were allegedly forced to intimately engage with each other. Some sources claim that celebrities would be in the room as well, and that some even wanted to be there, and that is the part that has everyone theorizing. People want to know who were the celebrities that took part in the parties, did they help put them on, and that is why every famous person that has ever breathed next to Diddy is currently under a social media investigation. Smith is hoping to close his case by saying explicitly that he never went to a freak-off. Because here's the thing, sometimes freak-offs would be the after party. Like, Diddy would host a party and then allegedly the evening would end in a freak-off. So now all the big names that were at the first party are in the pictures of what would turn into a freak-off night, and even though they never went near the unsavory part of the evening, it's still not a good look. For example, Diddy hosted an after-party for the 2005 VMAs. It was attended by stars like Paris Hilton, Eva Longoria, and more. According to the US Sun, as the party switched from a nightclub to Diddy's mansion in the early morning, the famous names had long departed the event and the festivities had turned into a freak-off. Footage from the later half of the party allegedly shows Diddy wearing the same outfit he had been in the VMAs party pics, which is how the two events were tied together. But people were saying that because Paris Hilton was photographed at the first party, she must have been involved in the later half of the evening, even though that's not true. So just because Smith might have been seen attending a Diddy bash, it doesn't mean that he attended an inappropriate Diddy bash. But on to the next line, Will Smith does have enough of his own stuff to deal with. The man is still handling the fallout of the infamous Oscar slap and everything that has come out about his marriage with Jada and more, so yeah, pile on that the Diddy stuff, and that's a lot on one's plate, especially if Smith isn't actually guilty of one of them. Like Smith said, people have been connecting him to everything Diddy has done since the two appeared so close in the early 2000s, attending the same red carpets and parties. They looked like friends. Because the pair looked so close, people were quick to wonder just how close were they? Were they close enough that Smith was in on the nefarious activity Diddy is being accused of? It's not hard to see why people might theorize about their friendship when photos resurfaced earlier this year of Smith at one of Diddy's parties, where there were some interesting positions women were put in. In 2004, Smith attended and was likewise photographed at one of Diddy's parties. From the photos Smith is in, the festivities don't look too strange, a regular party. However, other pictures seemingly taken from the same night show the more risque aspects of the evening. In one photo, you can clearly see an unclothed woman lying on a table surrounded by and with food on top of her body. She has a leaf protecting her lower half, but she is exposed everywhere else. One picture shows Combs standing over the woman and staring down at her while eating what looks like a chocolate-covered strawberry. The woman is surrounded by these strawberries, other food items, candles, leaves, etc. Apparently, the act of eating off of an unclothed woman specifically is a Japanese practice that some would consider an art, but it was outlawed in China in 2005 after it was deemed a public health concern and morally wrong. Technically, Diddy was enjoying this Japanese practice, but his past inappropriate actions have made people wonder if the woman on the table was a willing participant or forced to be there. It appears Will Smith was a guest at this particular party. In one photo, you can see him chatting with Combs, and in another with Combs and another gentleman, while Bruce Willis sits beside them at the table. I'm guessing all these photos were taken on the same night because Diddy is wearing the same outfit as the one in the photo with the unclothed woman. Will Smith and Combs are only pictured talking to each other. It's unclear if Smith also visited the table with the woman or kept his distance, but after his statement at his performance recently, it sounds like he probably did not engage. But now for the next few lines, Smith says, "I ain't been nowhere near that man, ain't did none of that stupid stuff." Obviously he has been near that man, considering all the pictures they are in together, but we all know what he's meant. He's never been near him intimately. Although there is a little bit of lore to be dropped there. In the late 90s, early 2000s, while Diddy was dating J-Lo, a rumor made its rounds that Will Smith and his wife had propositioned J-Lo with an invitation into their bed. Allegedly, Diddy wasn't too happy with that and threatened to attack Smith. Jimmy Kimmel recently point-blank asked Diddy if this was true on live TV. At first, the music artist was still as a statue, but eventually said, "You really heard that?" and laughed the whole thing off, claiming he didn't know what Kimmel was talking about. But let's power through the end of his statement with the baby oil thing. So this probably sounds like an insane thing to just tack on to the end of a sentence if you haven't been keeping up with Diddy. But here is why Will Smith said he doesn't even like baby oil. There was an article going around a while ago that claimed that when Diddy's home was raided, like right at the beginning of this whole thing, they found lots of lubricant. Eventually, lubricant turned into baby oil specifically, and then the number 1000 was pulled. We are left with the rumor that 1000 bottles of baby oil were found in Diddy's possession. Because the number is so large, the internet took this rumor and ran with it, making memes about it. I mean, 1000 bottles of baby oil does sound completely ridiculous. Why the disgraced rapper would need a large amount anyways? He made claims like Diddy has a large house, so therefore he would buy in bulk, as if that explains the situation at all. His lawyer even roped popular bulk buying store Costco into the equation, claiming that, well, people always buy large amounts of one item there all the time. Unlucky for him, Costco was not about to have their name attached to this and was quick to detach themselves from the situation, coming out with a statement that no store in the US even carries baby oil, which it's wild that also happened. No one expected Costco to need to release a statement claiming they aren't connected to Diddy. So that is a detailed breakdown of Will Smith's unofficial official statement. It is nice to have some clarification, but one person in particular is being especially supportive of Smith right now: 50 Cent. It's looking like 50 Cent has been waiting for the downfall of Diddy. Since the allegations came to light, the man has not let up, constantly calling the rapper out on social media, even calling out others well in advance of them officially being connected to anything. Like, he was making posts about Jay-Z's involvement, and then months later, Jay-Z was actually named in a lawsuit. 50 Cent is also making a docu-series about everything. It's apparently going to focus on Cassie, one of Diddy's most famous exes, but there is potential they will cover other lawsuits and charges too. It's set to stream on Netflix, but 50 Cent's response to Will Smith's statement was posted on Instagram of a screenshot, maybe, of an article about his statement. The caption read, "How you don't like Will Smith, man? LOL, I'm watching his movies on 50 Cent action on Roku." People are taking this as a message of support.
We have been finding out more and more information about Diddy recently, and somehow Britney Spears has been involved in all of this. Yep, you heard that right, so let's look into her involvement. TriStar Sports and Entertainment Group is the celebrity management firm that previously came under fire for its alleged involvement in Britney Spears' conservatorship battle. Turns out, though, they also have a connection to Diddy. The company's founder, president, and CEO is none other than Britney's former business manager, Lou M. Taylor, who she accused of playing a key role in the conservatorship's implementation in 2008. Now, we know that sketchy things were happening with Britney, so who knows what horrible things this group has done in connection to Diddy. Now, Lou actually managed Diddy too, as she confirmed it in 2019. Britney has also previously called out TriStar Services director Robin Greenhill, who was recently mentioned in a civil lawsuit against Diddy by producer Rodney Little Rod Jones. In 2021, it was revealed that Greenhill was in control of Britney's credit cards, medications, and that TriStar had allegedly used Britney's own money to hire a security team to surveil her during her conservatorship, which is honestly just crazy. Now, Britney even spoke out about Greenhill in her memoir, labeling her a weird blank lackey, and accused the pair, along with her own father, Jamie Spears, of bullying her. Now, it was also previously reported by the Los Angeles Times that Britney's legal team was investigating the alleged $18 million that TriStar obtained from her estate over the span of the conservatorship, which was terminated by a judge in November 2021 after 13 years. TriStar, Taylor, and Greenhill have all denied the allegations and have insisted that Britney's conservatorship was put forth by recommendation of legal counsel, not TriStar, and approved by the court for more than 12 years. Now, they mistreated Britney so poorly, and it appears that they helped Diddy cause harms to others. Now, Greenhill's name was back in the press this year after Rodney Low Rod Jones filed a $30 million lawsuit against Diddy, claiming that he mistreated and took advantage of him. Now, Rodney also claimed that Diddy made him a witness to multiple crimes against his own will as well. Now, how does this relate to Britney? Well, she accused the company and its founder, her former manager, Lou Taylor, of helping create and benefiting from the conservatorship agreement put in place by her father, Jamie Spears, in 2008, which she described as traumatizing in her court statements. Now, Britney claimed that TriStar had received $18 million in the conservatorship arrangement, even though Britney didn't have access to her own earnings. Now, the New York Times reported that Greenhill had been an important agent in the company's interest in the conservatorship by controlling her credit cards and medications well beyond what one would expect a pop star's management company to do. Now, a lot of the company's inner workings for how it manages its accounts are kept under lock and key, the paper reported, with two former employees saying they weren't allowed to access basic information like income statements or balance sheets. TriStar first tried to deny it helped originate Britney's conservatorship, which her attorney challenged by presenting the court with an email that showed its reps discussing the arrangement at its origination. The New York Times documentary about Britney's case included allegations that TriStar and Greenhill specifically had operated an elaborate surveillance apparatus to spy on the pop star. But how did this all start? Well, everyone knows about Britney's meltdowns in 2006 and 2007. Now, later, at the beginning of 2008, she was put on a 51-50 hold in the hospital. A week after this, she was sent back to the hospital on a 51-50 hold again, and her father Jamie was granted temporary conservatorship over the star. Now, soon after the conservatorship was in place, she said her father said, "I just want to let you know, I call the shots. You sit there in that chair, and I'll tell you what goes on," she recalled. "I looked at him with a growing sense of horror. I'm Britney Spears now," he said. Now, Britney also spoke out about the 13-year conservatorship, and she hit out at her dad Jamie in the explosive memoir as she opened up about the unrelenting control her family had over her, which, looking back, makes her feel sick. Now, people in Hollywood knew that this was happening but didn't do anything. Finally, in 2019, fans started to realize that something was wrong, and they created the Free Britney movement. Now, with fans backing Britney up, she felt like she finally had a voice and requested the conservatorship to end. Now, she and her father appeared in court multiple times over the year, and on November 12, 2021, the conservatorship was finally over. Now, it seems like TriStar and its employees are always getting in trouble and should honestly be investigated. While Britney is free now, some people don't think she got the justice she deserved. Now that TriStar is intertwined with Diddy, maybe the company and its employees will now be held accountable. Now, Diddy, though, for his part, claims that he's innocent. Now, Diddy is currently awaiting trial at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. He's proposed different bail packages, but they've all been denied. Defense lawyer Alexandra Shapiro asked them to release Diddy on a $50 million bond, which would be backed by his $48 million Miami home and co-signed by several of his family members. Now, she also proposed that Diddy be monitored around the clock by security personnel, be subjected to at-home detention, and have no contact with alleged victims or witnesses. One of the judges who denied this package, Judge Robin Tarnofsky, sided with U.S. Attorney's argument that Diddy posed a risk if he were to be released for home detention. She said, "I don't believe that counsel has the ability to control you, given the very significant concerns I have, particularly because of substance use and what seems like anger issues. The danger, I think, is quite serious," she added of Diddy's release, deciding that the bond package his team offered would not assure his return to court or the safety of the community or lack of witness tampering. In a September 17th letter to the judge arguing for Diddy to be jailed until he was brought to trial, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams claimed that his office has the testimony of dozens of witnesses and victims to his serial mistreatment and evidence from dozens of his own electronic devices and those of his co-conspirators. Investigators have taken in more than 90 cell phones, laptops, cloud storage accounts, as well as at least 30 storage devices. They issued more than 300 grand jury subpoenas to obtain this evidence from communication providers, tech and social media companies, financial institutions, and Diddy's companies. Prosecutors allegedly have dozens of videos depicting Diddy's so-called freak-offs that corroborate witness testimony. So it's safe to say that there's plenty of evidence that will keep Diddy in jail. Another celebrity has been linked to Diddy, and that is model Kate Moss. Photos have been leaked of her and Diddy partying together, and people are shocked. Now, Kate was known for being a party girl at one point in her life, so it's not really that shocking to see her with Diddy, but what is alarming though is that in the photos, it looks like Diddy's holding a pill while he poses beside her. Now, was that for him, for her, or for some other victim? It seems like no one really knows. The photos are from top talent agent Paul Rowland's 40th birthday party in New York City in 1999. Kate is seen partying with Diddy, and he's seen grabbing Kate's neck in the image, taken at Victor's Cafe, a Cuban restaurant and nightclub in Midtown Manhattan. But this isn't the only time that Diddy and Kate have been spotted together. In 2014, they were photographed celebrating Riccardo Tisci's 40th birthday in Ibiza. Diddy actually posted a photo of him, Kate, Naomi Campbell, Kim Kardashian, and more on his Twitter account, though hours later he deleted it. Now, we don't know why he deleted it, but he was together with all these people. Not to mention, in a 2015 interview, he spoke about how he spent surreal nights with Kate in Paris. "Sometimes I'll be in the studio until 3 a.m., or I'll be out in Paris at a fashion show, and just hanging out until the morning with Naomi Campbell and Kate Moss. Those times are always surreal," he told Into the Gloss in 2015. "I remember a time I just done a photo shoot for Vogue, and afterward Kate, Naomi, and I just went out and did something a little touristy and cliche. We went and had champagne at the Eiffel Tower, someone had brought music, and we had a little party up there, just the three of us." So, was Kate just there to party, or did she take part in the crimes, or was she even just a victim in all of this? I guess we'll just have to wait and see if she decides to speak up. Now, Kate was known for her party ways though, so at the time it wasn't too shocking that she was seen hanging out with Diddy, as he was known for throwing the best parties. I mean, anyone who was someone was in attendance, and it was an honor to be invited. Since then though, Kate has slowed down her partying days, and we're not too sure the last time she spoke to Diddy, but the fact that she's still being associated with him is not a good thing. Now, a lot of celebrities have been accused of being involved in Diddy's crime ring. Essentially, if you were ever spotted with the rapper or at his parties, people are looking at you differently now. Kate Moss is just the newest celebrity, as others include Ashton Kutcher, Leonardo DiCaprio, J-Lo, and Beyonce and Jay-Z. Now, Jay-Z is actually involved in a lawsuit where he and Diddy are accused of taking advantage of a girl at a party in the year 2000. So, what's the whole story with Diddy though? Well, in March, his houses were raided by Homeland Security, and he kept on receiving more and more lawsuits from people accusing him of mistreating them. Then in September, he was finally arrested as the government had enough proof that he ran a crime ring for years. Now at this point, he had racked up 9 different lawsuits in less than a year. While in jail though, he has received even more, 16 to be exact, but there are over 120 accusers who are planning to file lawsuits against the rapper. Yep, you heard that right, 120. Tony Busby revealed at a press conference on October 1st that he is representing 120 accusers who allege misconduct against Diddy over the course of 2 decades. Andrew Van Arsdale, one of the plaintiff's attorneys, told the Washington Post that there will be 120 individual lawsuits filed in New York, Los Angeles, and Miami in the coming weeks. Now he said that more than 3,000 individuals have come forward to his office with accusations against Diddy. Now it seems like Diddy has been doing this for a very long time, and personally I'm glad that he's finally getting caught, as the details that have come out about this are just so disgusting. The thing is though, multiple celebrities have been warning us about Diddy and what he's been doing. But at the time, no one listened to them. Kate Williams spoke candidly about Diddy in the past, accusing him of committing crimes and trying to get away with it. During a discussion on the Club Shay Shay podcast, Kat suggested Diddy would be exposed in 2024. Now the comedian also alleged you have to tell Diddy no, all these big deviants are catching hell in 2024, it's up for all of them, it doesn't matter if you're Diddy or whoever, all lies will be exposed, he said. Now it seems like he definitely knew about all of this before it became public information, as in another snippet, he claimed he had to turn down $50 million 4 times. P. Diddy be wanting to party, and you've got to tell him no, I did, he alleged. In a 2022 interview for Drink Champs, Kanye West called out celebrities for allegedly working with law enforcement to turn on other celebrities so they could avoid prison. Now, one of the celebrities that he called out by name was Diddy, who he referred to as Puff Daddy. Now, the interview was eventually deleted due to some offensive things Kanye said, but with people now digging it back up, his comments about Diddy hold more weight. Kanye said that Diddy is making deals to keep himself out of trouble. The reason why you gotta talk is because you did a deal, you effing fed. That's why you gotta come at me, because part of the deal for you to be able to do all that and get out of jail is that you promise that you're gonna pull my card, he said. But it seems like that didn't really work out for Diddy. Now 50 Cent is another celebrity who has warned us about Diddy for years. And honestly, we should have listened. He's been posting on social media now that he's always been right about Diddy, and he makes a lot of posts making fun of the rapper for everything going on. 50 Cent is actually making a documentary currently about Diddy and what he did to all of his victims. Now 50 Cent has been a very loud voice when it comes to calling out Diddy. But Diddy hasn't been having the best time in jail. The day after he was arrested, Diddy was denied bail and ordered to jail as he faced multiple charges. He appeared in New York and pleaded not guilty, and his lawyers try unsuccessfully to keep him out of jail, requesting his release to home detention, travel restrictions, and a $50 million bond in Manhattan court, but prosecutors argued that Diddy was a serious flight risk and has the money, manpower, and tools to flee without detection. Now on October 10th, during an appearance in Manhattan, prosecutors revealed that authorities seized 96 electronic devices in raids of Diddy's Miami and Los Angeles homes, as well as a private airport in South Florida. Prosecutors say Diddy might face more charges, something they have floated during prior court proceedings, and once again, he was denied bail. Now mid-November, it was reported that Diddy had tried to reach out to prospective witnesses and influence public opinion from jail in a bid to affect potential jurors for his upcoming trial, as prosecutors claimed in a court filing that is part of a bail request. Now, for a third time near the end of that month, he was denied bail again. His lawyers had proposed a $50 million bail package again, and they said they would ensure that the rapper did not flee or try to intimidate other potential trial witnesses. In a bail hearing, the judge said, "The court finds the government has shown shown by clear and convincing evidence that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of the community. Given the nature of the allegations in this case and the information provided by the government, the court doubts the sufficiency of any conditions that place trust in Diddy and individuals in his employ, like private security detail, to follow these conditions. So yeah, Diddy's still in there. His trial is set for May 5th, 2025, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens next.
For decades, Puff Daddy parties were the place to be. From his annual Hamptons white parties, to the blowout birthday bashes, the lavish soirees were attended by everybody. Who filled out this guest list? Let's see. Jay-Z and Beyonce, Jennifer Lopez, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ashton Kutcher. I could go on and on. For his 50th birthday, Puff Daddy partied with members of the Kardashian family. Pharrell, Naomi Campbell, so many big names. Well, obviously, a lot of things are now going viral on social media. Why? Well, a lot of people want to know what happened at these white parties where Puff Daddy partied with the megastars. Specifically, there's one image in the news where like everybody's holding a fun bottle of something and a lot of folks look like they're having a good time. And people want to know just how good of a time was it? Was Leonardo DiCaprio having a good time? Was Mariah Carey having a good time? They were both wearing white. Another image that stands out, Puff Daddy screaming at a party, and who does he have in his arms? Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian. Now sure, this was during the era where Kim was Paris's second in command, her assistant if you will, but we gotta get back to the Kardashians because they know more than they're telling. So there's one video showing Khloe Kardashian bragging about partying with Puff Daddy. This is in an old episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I know, it's like 10 years old, but it's relevant, okay? So Khloe and Kourtney are hanging out. They're discussing this wild party with a lot of friends. Bieber was there, French Montana was there, and Puff Daddy. So later on in the episode, everybody's out bowling, and Girly Pop is like, well, I haven't been to bed yet. I got on a plane at like 5:30 a.m. And like she said the quote that we all know about what people were or weren't wearing at the party. And it's like, hey girl, want to elaborate why you got on a plane at 5:30 a.m.? Because we all know when the bad part of the party happened, and it was after 5 a.m. She said, well, I know you're known for the parties. When you think of a party or a good time, you think of Puff. And we've been known to party with you a few times. And then Kourtney was like, oh yeah, like you were just at Puffy's party. And she's like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That was an epic night too. Like that night was fun because all the girls ditched me. So it was like me and the boys. It was me, Kanye, and we were just like hanging out and it was fun. I loved it. And then once again, Khloe turns to Puffy and is like, I don't know how you have all the energy, but that's who you are. And that's why people are so drawn to you because you're so eclectic. No matter what, no matter how much you work, you don't sleep, you don't do anything, but that's just you. And if you thought that's where the friendship ends, flash forward, I think 3 years later, 2019, Khloe is posting pictures of her family and Puff Daddy. December 16th, 2019. Everybody's hanging out. It's like, oh my gosh, yeah, like happy 50th birthday. So here's the thing. Normally when Khloe posts photos of her family on Insta, the comment section is usually flooded with well wishes. But fast forward to this year, September 24th, 2024, now that everything's coming to light, yeah, there's some suspicion and anger in the comments. Folks want to know, like, hey, Kardashian family, you've been hanging out with Puff Daddy for years at this point. We just went through the timeline. And like, what's going on? So even though this was a completely unrelated post, like Khloe's dropping off her family at school, and yes, there are a couple of nice little things, like there's a pop singer who was like, oh my gosh, best mama. Everybody else wants to know other stuff. They said, and I quote, so are we just glossing over the fact that she and the other Kardashians knew what went on at Puffy parties? The circus is trying to deflect from them parties they went to, and that one was in all caps, but like, I'm not yelling at you, you don't need that. So let's go through the family tree. Apparently Kim has unfollowed Puffy on Insta, but has not spoken publicly over the speculation. But going back to Khloe, once again, she's always said nothing like a Puffy party and she hasn't said anything else. Now sure, nobody in the family has been linked to any of the allegations that Puffy is facing, but they have not spoken out following his arrest. They've been fawning over him for how many years now publicly? And like if we're going up to, let's see, the matriarch of the family, Kris Jenner, her partner Corey Gamble had ties to the rapper as well. So there's a theory. A theory is the family is dreading the prospect of testifying at the upcoming trial. Now this is according to some insiders who claim that the family is in panic mode. because all these years they've been bragging about partying with Puffy, and of course everybody's wondering, were you involved in the freak-offs? And if you don't know what the freak-offs are, how can I word this without getting in trouble with the internet? Carefully organized events that involved very naughty activities, not always consensually, with a lot of people. Please get my hint. So according to sources, the Kardashians are all insisting they weren't involved in the twisted, awful things that went up after hours at these parties. Even though we know Khloe was at these parties until 5:30 a.m., which is when the twisted things would have been happening. Now, of course, we do have to mention Puffy had plenty of glamorous parties over the years that weren't these crazy things. But, and this is a quote here, at least not until the early morning hours. Well, I don't know, folks. Didn't I just say that Khloe Kardashian was at these parties until the early morning hours? So if you're wondering how Corey ties into all of it, he made a post in 2020 saying like, oh, I will always thank Puffy and Puffy's partner for all they did in my life. So a lot of folks think Corey must have had some knowledge of what was going on, which he totally denies. So obviously, going back to Kris, Momager Supreme PR expert, she's a little embarrassed. She's scrambling to distance the entire family from this and distract everybody. But obviously, it's kind of impossible. So let's talk more about these parties for a moment, folks. Let's go back, way back. 1999, where Puffy was talking about his white parties, and it's very interesting what he said about them. At the time, 1999, folks, they don't want me to party anymore, but we're not gonna stop. We will continue to have fun, to unite people from all walks of life. And he said, you will hear about my parties. Folks, this is almost 30 years ago. They're going to shut them down. Maybe they're going to arrest me. They're going to do all kinds of crazy things just because we want to have a good time. Whenever you bring a different element into people's environments, things that broaden people's horizons, people get intimidated. It's a lot of people out there that feel intimidated by it. Okay, well, I don't know, sir. We have different ideas on this. He also joked about his tactics for keeping women from ditching his get-togethers, and he did this on television, folks. This was on Late Night with Conan O'Brien in 2002. So Conan was like, hey, how do you throw a great party? Because by then, Puffy was already known for his parties. He said woman. Beautiful woman, of course. Beautiful men for the ladies, of course. You need some water. I don't know if guys have noticed this, but a lot of ladies drink water at the parties, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave. And then he said something very interesting. Gotta keep them there. Need locks on the doors. Now, Conan O'Brien was like, that sounds kind of dangerous. Puffy tried to play it off. He's like, no, it's all in fun. Well, he didn't say that word. He said a word that starts with a K that I can't say. But like, nope, that does not sound like a great human rights situation. So sure, as all this continues to hit the light and it's all technically allegation and whodunits and maybes and allegedlys, it's probably gonna be a while before we get anything concrete, because if you went to a Puffy party or hung out with him, you had to sign an NDA. So apparently it's a pretty standard one, like you can't share information related to the disgraced music mogul himself, partners, family members, friends, business associates. You also couldn't photograph, film, or record anything without written consent. And even though that is pretty boilerplate, obviously we all wish we had footage right about now. You also, if you took anything, you can't share anything on social media without any explicit consent from the bad boy founder. Also, you can't give an interview, you can't write a book, you can't discuss anything. So obviously that's probably why we're not hearing about anything, but like, we would still like to know. The non-disclosure seems to cover anything that could get the rapper into trouble, and it does expire at one point. It's valid for, let's see, Puffy's life plus 20 years or 70 years, whichever is longer. Yes, it's boilerplate, but still, come on folks. You can break it, it'll make everybody's lives easier.
Footage has resurfaced of Will Smith participating in a video invitation to Sean Diddy Combs' 29th birthday party, and after everything that has come out about Diddy events, people are wondering just how involved Smith was in the party's activities. We'll get into this and more today in new leaked party footage of Diddy and Will Smith changes everything. In the modern day, Page 6 is the celebrity news site that got their hands on a VHS tape. That is how old this invite is, a VHS tape of the invitation. It's a whole bunch of famous celebrities, including including Oprah, Ellen, Ben Stiller, Chris Rock, and more, inviting the recipient to an exclusive Diddy bash. In this section posted to Page Six's YouTube channel, Will Smith has a featured moment saying, "You are cordially invited to celebrate the birth of P. Diddy." No expense appears to be spared. In addition to the celebrity cameos, Page Six reports that at the time, the VHS invite would have been delivered in a black velvet pouch embroidered with the birthday gala and the date of the event, November 4th, 1998. TSG.com actually leaked this birthday invitation and location 2 days before the bash was set to happen. Because this was 1998 though when it leaked, their servers couldn't handle posting the video all at once, so it was only released in roughly 10 to 20 second chunks. And get this, barely anyone has watched these videos. Of the 5 parts, the one with the most views has 157, so it's kind of like you're the first to hear about this decades-old drama. Anyway, the footage is causing a stir because over the past year, Diddy has been hit with many lawsuits accusing the rapper of physically engaging with individuals without consent, forcing people to perform acts or consume things they do not want to, invading privacy, and generally being a bad guy and more. Some of these acts he was committing were done in private. Security footage viral earlier this year of an altercation between Diddy and a past partner of his, in which he was physically rough with her in a deserted hotel hallway. But that doesn't mean untoward things didn't take place in public. A term you are probably hearing a lot when it comes to this situation is freak off. These were parties hosted by Diddy in which all parties present would engage with each other, allegedly, not always consensually, and allegedly Diddy would film the events. Many people with suits open against the disgraced rapper who claim to have been involved in these freak-offs say they did not want to be there. However, Diddy's lawyer claims that it was all consensual. The freak-offs part of this scandal is causing problems for many of Hollywood's most famous, as it has become a thing to assume that if someone was spotted at a Diddy party, any Diddy party, then they engaged in a freak-off. That's why all the celebrities in that VHS invite that were so excited to invite people to the birthday party are now being looked at more closely. However, it is worth noting that just because someone attended a Diddy bash doesn't mean they engaged in untoward activities. Freak-offs are commonly reported to have either been planned well in advance with hotels rented and people organized, or that they were a result of late-night partying, so the after party for an event might have turned into a freak-off. Many news publications report that by the time the evening would get to freak-off status, most of the big-name celebrities would have left. Like in the case of Sean Diddy Combs' 2005 VMAs after party. This was attended by stars like Paris Hilton, Eva Longoria, and more. According to the US Sun, as the party switched from a nightclub to Diddy's mansion in the early morning, the big names had long departed the event, and well in his home, the festivities had descended into a freak-off. Footage from the later half of the party allegedly shows Diddy wearing the same outfit he had been in at the VMA party pics. That's how the two situations were connected. But sometimes, even if it's unknown if a party later became a freak-off, that doesn't mean odd things didn't happen. Smith attended and was likewise photographed at a 2004 Diddy party. Now this party in particular, from the photos Smith is in, it doesn't look too strange, a regular party setting. However, other photos that appear to be taken from the same evening show the less family-friendly side of the event. In one photo, you can see an unclothed woman lying on a table surrounded by and with food on top of her body. She has a leaf to protect her lower half, however she is exposed everywhere else. One picture shows Combs standing over that woman and staring down at her while eating what appears to be a chocolate strawberry. The woman is surrounded by chocolate strawberries, grapes, candles, and other food items. The act of eating off an unclothed woman is actually a known Japanese practice that some would consider an art, but was outlawed in China in 2005 after it was deemed a public health concern and morally wrong. Despite the photos from this particular party being available for decades, people are now just starting to analyze them due to all the accusations against Combs. Technically, Diddy was enjoying a Japanese practice, but his past inappropriate actions have made people wonder if the woman on the table was as willing a participant or forced to be there. Again, due to Combs wearing the same outfits in photos with the woman and then later with Will Smith, it appears Smith was in attendance at this particular party. Will Smith and Combs are only pictured talking to one another. It's unclear if Smith also visited that table with the woman or kept his distance. Another example of a Diddy party with freaky elements would be his November 2004 birthday bash. The room was lined with raised levels with curtains at the back, so if guests didn't want to be on the dance floor, they could watch from above, which is admittedly Not odd. The weird part came later. As the night went on, the curtains were drawn back to reveal beds, booths, and water-filled porcelain bathtubs. The article also states that screens started displaying the text King Diddy. The booths would be standard for a party setting, but the beds and bathtubs, we don't need that. Now that the public is aware of Diddy's disturbing activities behind closed doors, it makes the inclusion of the beds and baths so much worse. The article goes on to confirm that in addition to the famous individuals at the party, it was also attended by performers like acrobats, go-go dancers, and those in other similar lines of work. This article does not touch on if the bathtubs or the beds were used for anything other than a break from tearing up the dance floor. While the VHS invitation is certainly extravagant, it's not the only time Diddy has sent invites as fancy as his events. For his 2002 VMAs after party, the rapper sent out old-timey looking invitations accompanied by, literally, a golden ticket. The golden ticket had all the party details, whereas the paper contained the dress code and other event rules. The men were required to have a clean shave and haircut. The women also needed to have fancy hair, but also mani-pedis and to be waxed. And everyone had to be dressed up. He specifically called for top designers to be worn, like Gucci, YSL, you get the picture. All in all, little is known about this exclusive event, but the end of the invite features a line that is so much worse with the present-day context added to it. Don't disturb the fancy. Sure, this could mean just show up looking your best so you don't stand out among the other fancy people, but after learning about the beds from a later party, the women on the table, and the freak-offs, it reads as much, much weirder. But the big question, is this invitation real? No idea. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend at the time because I was probably off somewhere learning to walk. Nowadays, as I search for a source, the party was so long ago that there really isn't much. Plus, an invite like this would be really hard to get your hands on. Other than TSG.com, one other news site posted the invite, this time featuring that golden ticket and envelopes. There is a chance that it is in fact real. Either way, the party happened, and if the don't disturb the activities is as weird as it sounds today, then we don't really have to wonder if some untoward things happened at this extravagant affair. But to bring it back as to why you probably clicked this video, the connection between Diddy and Will Smith. Their history includes more than just partying. A rumor made its rounds that while Diddy was dating J-Lo back in the late 90s, early 2000s, Will Smith and his wife had propositioned the Jenny from the Block singer with an invitation to join them in bed. Allegedly, Diddy wasn't too happy with that and threatened to attack Smith, a wild rumor that found its way into a more recent segment of Jimmy Kimmel Live. Never one to shy away from anything, Kimmel straight up asked the rapper if this was true. At first, the music artist made absolutely no movements. He looked very serious, eventually breaking to respond with, "You really heard that?" and laughed the whole thing off, claiming he didn't know what Kimmel was talking about. The talk show host played into the bit, making a remark about how one can't believe everything they read on the internet. Even if the rumor proved to be true, Smith and Combs must have worked it out, considering they were pictured at multiple events together in later years, including the premiere of Hancock in 2008. Yes, plus, in a wild turn of fate, Diddy happened to be the person speaking next at the Oscars the year Will Smith rocked Chris Rock live on television. After the moment, Diddy had come out on stage and said, "I did not know that this year was going to be the most exciting Oscars ever. Okay, Will and Chris, we're going to solve that like family at the gold party, okay? But right now, we are moving on with love." P. Diddy was also one of the first to jump to Smith's defense after that incident. But funny enough, Chris Rock was also heavily featured in that VHS birthday invite we kicked this video off with. It's a small world up there in Hollywood.